All right, there he is, the promoter of the year of your lifetime. I don't know if that's an accurate description, Eddie, but I get fired up to talk to you just the same. Matchroom Sport in the house this weekend. DAZN pay-per-view, San Francisco. Regis Prograis, Haney. Eddie, let's start here on what you're selling because I'm buying. I love this fight. Talk to Rougarou ahead of it. I'm fired up. Tell me, Eddie, this feels like the big deal to get Haney back. For you, what are you so excited about that regard, bringing Haney right back into this mix and making this great matchup?
I just feel this is a little bit of a turning point for American boxing. You know, I think when you look at, we've been involved in some big events, you know, Canelo Alvarez against Gennady Golovkin, Canelo Alvarez against, you know, Billy Joe Saunders, 75,000 at Dallas Cowboys. And it just, all of a sudden it's two fresh faces in a mega fight, you know. And listen, I'd love to say that it was a genius move coming to San Francisco. I didn't know. We rolled the dice. All of a sudden, we're in Chase Center. For the first time they've staged a boxing event, 16,000 sellout incoming. You know, and I just think this just feels fresh. Feels like we've really created something here and shown you how it can be done when it's promoted correctly, when the narrative is told, when the promotional content is elite, when the teams engage, and when it means everything. And we've got ourselves a monster on Saturday night. I can't wait.
Yeah, such a great style contrast. So many questions on both sides, whether Regis can bounce back from a flat performance, in his own words, in his first title defense, the homecoming in New Orleans. And then the same flip side to Haney. Can he move everything up to 140 and carry all of that sublime talent, the chin, the power, all that goes with that? So, Eddie, I want to stay on Haney here, because not the champion, but fresh off the undisputed lightweight title run he had, one of the brightest young stars in the sport at 25, and now he's back with you. He's operating, him and his father, their career in a way you don't see a lot of young fighters doing. How much do you respect that? Obviously, good amount, because you're bringing him back into the mix after 3 fights away. But is this a model for young, fresh-faced fighters that you think is sustainable over time?
Yeah, I think being a free agent, if you like, or someone that moves across networks is risky. It doesn't give you the security that you might want in your career. But when you back yourself and when you're a big enough draw, I mean, I think the move from Canelo Alvarez, he was kind of like the first guy that just went, actually, I'm going to go fight by fight, or, you know, 1 fight or 2 fights here. And we had a 6-fight run with him. But it enables you to fight the fights that you want to be in across different networks and with different promoters. And when I signed Devin, you know, we really took a chance with him as a young man. And we had a dream that he would become undisputed lightweight world champion. And he won the WBC world title with us. And when we got that opportunity to fight Kambosos, we got frozen out. You know, DeBella and Top Rank basically said to Devin, the only way you are going to get this opportunity is if you don't re-sign with Eddie and you sign with us. And he was like, I've got to say, there's not much loyalty in boxing. This kid did everything he could to stay with us, to the point where I even said to him, mate, you got to do it. And he said, I promise you I'll be back. Let me do these fights. I'll be back. And he did those fights, and true to his word, he came back. And, you know, I've got a great relationship, but, you know, I joked with Regis last night. I've also got a great relationship with Regis Prograis. Maybe not as long, with not as much history, but I promise Regis Prograis, when we sign you, we're going to give you a homecoming, then we're going to give you a mega fight. So we've delivered for everybody, and now it's over to them. I think as the fight gets closer, people are giving Regis Prograis much more of a shot in this fight. Yeah. You know, he looked really good last night. There's probably too much emphasis or analysis of the Zorilla performance, because I just don't think he could get himself up for that fight. My God, he's up for this fight. And, you know, Haney better be ready. He better be ready to be hit harder than he's ever been hit before on Saturday night, because that's what Regis will bring. And, you know, it's just a tremendous matchup with so many questions to be answered.
Well, it's a great matchup because the timing is perfect. The 140 division went from kind of empty a few years ago, post Terrence Crawford, to now having some of the brightest young stars in the entire sport, along with some very decorated veteran fighters like Regis Prograis, who's a champion here, WBC at 140. Haney brings that new star power in. You had a quote a couple of years back when talking about dealing with Canelo, that sort of like, hey, it's 2022, 2023. The promoters are working for the fighters, not the other way around. I feel like you may be the only promoter sometimes that really gets this. We just talked about you let Haney walk. Now he's back. You got him. You could be in a driver's seat with the winner, with either winner on Saturday night in terms of leading the way in this division. Dude, does the old guard just not get it? Because we see Oscar and Ryan Garcia fighting in almost sad, childish public ways. Whereas you're like, hey, if you have to walk away, make sure you remember my number and come back. You've done that with Haney. You've done that with Canelo. You've done that with a lot of fighters. What is the difference here in how you treat the superstars?
I just think that you never want to lose a fighter. You never want to lose a superstar. But I feel like, you know, having that relationship with them and allowing that honest communication is key. The older generation of promoters, the fighters used to work for them, right? Aaron, Don King, probably my dad, Frank Warren, you know, all these older guys, probably Oscar a little bit as well. You know, for me, how can the talent, the guy that is going into the ring, the guy that is putting himself on the line, sometimes his health on the line, and he's having a fight with another man in front of the world, work for me? Just some geezer from London, you know, who talks a lot. I'm not the star here. I'm not the talent. I'm a guy that can help you realize your dreams and try and take you to the promised land. But you're the star. You're the talent. And it doesn't matter if you're a 4-round fighter or an undisputed world champion. You are my boss. I work for you. Right? And that's my mentality. So I respect the guys. I'm always going to give my opinions and thoughts. And I feel like, you know, I've been around the sport of boxing for over 30 years. I know it inside out. But these guys, they're the talent. And the talent is what runs the sport. So, yeah, I like to talk a lot and build my own profile and have a laugh. But I know my place. And although a lot of these guys have their own promotional companies, which doesn't really mean a lot, because if I run this show on Saturday and lost $2 million, do you think Devin Haney Promotions or Rougarou Promotions are going to stump up the losses? No, they want their name on the poster. They want to have their own promotional company, but they never really want to roll the dice or take the risk. That's fine. That's what we do. So, you know, I think fighters need flexibility to move sometimes. They've got a short career. They have to maximize their earnings. They have to try and achieve their legacy. And if they have to make moves, that's okay. But we do it together. We're straight with each other. And that's unusual, I guess, in the sport of boxing.
Now, when you see Oscar and Ryan Garcia, and this is kind of in your backyard because it's the same network here in DAZN, having these public issues, but you're also an individual, a separate witness to this. Do you call up Oscar and just say, bro, bad look here, pull back a little bit? Or are there parts of that story maybe we don't know and we should shut the heck up? I never know what to do.
I've never seen anything like it. I mean, to question a fighter's mental health 48 hours from a fight across social media. I mean, it's quite dangerous. You know, I couldn't believe, I actually thought Oscar Duarte was going to beat Ryan Garcia, because I'm looking at this guy going, and I have to take my hat off to Ryan Garcia, because mentally, I think he's a lot stronger than I give him credit for. Because I'm looking at that situation at the press conference going, my God, this kid's head must be in a jam jar right now. I mean, that's like me. Imagine me standing behind Anthony Joshua at a press conference going, and then tweeting saying, I'm really concerned about Anthony Joshua's mental health going into this fight. Like, it is one of the most bizarre things. Listen, that's their own business. For me, I'd be saying to both guys, you need to get in a room, shake hands, sort this out, and go your separate ways. Because this is, you talk about toxic relationships. I mean, this is the most toxic relationship I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Let's talk about Matchroom Sport. San Francisco this weekend, Saturday, DAZN pay-per-view, big deal here. But in totality, when you take a step back, which I don't think you do, Eddie, because you're always on the ball here, always traveling, always putting on big events. How happy are you with the last 4, 5, 6 years, this big British invasion, Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Sport? You got a great card this weekend. Are you as advanced and as far as you thought you would when you first had this idea to really take Matchroom and really go global?
No, I think you're right. We don't really take a breath and look back, because we should be proud of what we've done. I mean, we're a promotional company from the UK who decided to become a global promotional company. The only global promotional company in the sport of boxing. You know, when we landed that big broadcast deal with DAZN, it enabled us to come over here, you know, and people like to take shots and who wants to fight on an app? Well, guess what? Now the whole world wants to fight on an app, and, you know, DAZN is the global home of boxing. But if you look at, you know, everything from Joshua Ruiz at Madison Square Garden to Taylor Serrano at Madison Square Garden, you know, Canelo against Billy Joe at Dallas Cowboys, Canelo against Triple G, you know, and of course, Haney Prograis this week. Like that, we've done so much, and not just in the two key markets of the UK and the US. You know, now we're running 6 to 8 shows a year in Mexico. They've been tremendous. Australia, Italy, Spain. We're the only global promotional company. And if you look at our run, particularly on the last few weeks, you know, sold out in Dublin with Taylor Serrano, and Conlan Gill last week sold out in Belfast. Chase Center, San Francisco this week. Then we're in Phoenix. Then we're in Saudi Arabia for the Day of Reckoning on December 23rd. Like, no one is doing what we're doing. And I don't expect pat on the backs, but I think us as a team and as a business should look back and say, wow, these guys are on another level. And that is actually what we are. We are on another level to everybody else. And we'll continue to push as hard as we can in 2024 and beyond.
Well, one thing you've shown is you've tried your best to put, in my opinion, you tried your best to make the biggest fights you could. Try to put the sport first. December 23rd, excuse me, you mentioned that giant heavyweight card in Saudi Arabia that brings together multiple fighters from across different networks and promoters. So I want to ask you about the impact of Saudi, the UAE, where the UFC does big business. Is that the future Las Vegas in your eyes? And can these people from another land put together so much money that you and Frank Warren can get along that night? Maybe you and Bob Arum can get along a different night. You and Al Heyman a different night. Is this a unifying force in a quote unquote broken, disorganized sport?
Yeah, I think firstly, it's very difficult to create the history and legacy of a Las Vegas or a Madison Square Garden. Those things take time, of which this can definitely happen. I think when there's that kind of level of investment, but not just the level of investment, the level of passion and creativity from mainly His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh. I'm talking about promos, I'm talking about fight cards, I'm talking about production. You know, there's a real sort of all-encompassed passion to make the best fights, get people working together, create production like you've never seen before, create promos like you've never seen before. So I think that's why you're seeing myself and Frank and Bob, like, it's so exciting for the sport of boxing and for our fighters and for our business. And that's another reason we're all working together. But it doesn't matter, you know, we're there. And I think December 23rd goes to show you the potential. And when you look at Fury Usyk getting made, could that have got made without the Middle East? Probably not. Joshua Wilder, hopefully that gets made. Could that get made without the Middle East? Maybe not. You know, so if they're going to deliver these mega fights for us, we should be happy. And, you know, all of our experience out there so far have been tremendous.
Well, when you first brought Anthony Joshua and Andy Ruiz there for the big rematch, you did get hit with the same barrage that Vince McMahon and WWE did. Sports washing, Eddie Hearn's taking blood money. You stood up to that. You answered questions. A few years later, there does seem to be more of a nuanced understanding, specifically in Saudi Arabia, of what they're trying to do, rechange the image and all of that. Was it easy for you to sort of put a lot of that negativity aside and say, look, these are able and willing business partners. They're trying to do good for the sport, trying to do good for their own nation, and really can be up to the consumer, the viewer, how they want to judge this other stuff?
I think that boxing's different. Boxing's prize fighting. So it's a lot easier for me to have a live debate when I'm talking about these guys who are going in, risking their health to have a fight with another individual. They deserve to get absolutely every penny they can from the sport. How can I turn down an opportunity for my fighter to make $20 million in Las Vegas or $60 million in the Middle East? I mean, firstly, I can't. But also, when you looked at the original sports that were already there, WWE, UFC, you know, Formula One, tennis, the ATP Tour. These are massive organizations that have chose to expand their sport and business in that region. So who are we, little old boxing, to say, no, we're going to take these opportunities away from our fighters? We're not going there. We saw something different. We actually saw a passion for the sport, an investment at grassroots level, the excitement of the people to see major sports events there. And if sport can encourage change, then fantastic. And I think actually bringing these sports events to Saudi Arabia has definitely changed the mindset and the energy of the younger generation, particularly participating in grassroots sport. So, I'm always up for that debate. I've seen it firsthand, the excitement of bringing these big fights to Saudi Arabia for the people. And, again, great. I think great for the sport.
Well, look, a couple more questions before we go. Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder are fighting in separate bouts, both really well matched, by the way, December 23rd, with a ton of other big names, Dimitri Bivol, etc., on that card. The knee-jerk fan reaction is, hey, why can't they just fight each other now? How do you react to that, Eddie?
I think we had 6 weeks. I think it was like the card was put together very quickly. By the way, I think Otto Warlin's a very dangerous fight, 6 weeks out. In with a southpaw. He's just coming off victory in Russia against Garcia. And Josie Parker's full of confidence. Wilder's been out for a long time. But look, the reason they are fighting on the same card, the reason that we're all going to Saudi Arabia is because we want to make Joshua Wilder in Saudi Arabia. Now, it's not made yet, but everybody wants that fight to happen. And if they both win on December 23rd, I think there's a really good chance that you see what I think is the biggest fight in boxing.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's about time we get all these heavyweights against each other. Shout out to Fury and Usyk for finally doing it. Final question on heavyweight. Is Francis Ngannou for real in your eyes? You don't promote Tyson Fury, but you watched that fight as we all did. What happened that night? I still can't figure it out, Eddie. I still can't.
Look, I thought Ngannou won. I mean, I was one of those people that said it's a mismatch. It's actually a disgrace that a guy that's never had a professional fight fights the world heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
But I thought he won. I mean, look, Fury was off that night. I don't think he's the fighter that he once was, but whatever. And by the way, well done, Francis Ngannou, because he was tremendous. But Francis Ngannou can lose to anyone in the top 100 of the heavyweight rankings at any time. So he has won the lottery twice over, and you will only see him fight Fury in a rematch, or AJ, or Wilder, because he can lose to a 4-0 guy. So he's just going to sit tight, probably do a little PFL, and then come back and rematch Fury at the end of 2024 and make his 30, 40, 50, 60 million. Good luck, Francis Ngannou.
Yeah, indeed. All right, this Saturday, Devin Haney's going to move up to 140, take on Regis Prograis, WBC's title at stake. What is at stake in your eyes when you consider the landscape of this division? Ryan Garcia wants the winner. You got Gervonta Tank Davis. Shakur's talking about maybe moving up. We've got the old guard in here. So many. Rolly's got a belt. Good Lord, Rolly's got a belt, Eddie. How did that happen? What's at stake here for the winner of Haney versus Prograis in your eyes?
I think that superstardom and maybe the keys to the city. I think that this guy, whoever wins on Saturday, is going to be one of the front runners. I mean, you've got Teofimo Lopez, lives on a planet somewhere who, it's so difficult to make fights for him because he thinks he understands the business, which he doesn't. Gervonta Davis, who knows? Ryan, I mean, for me, I'm looking at the landscape, the political landscape, and saying the winner of Saturday has to fight Ryan Garcia in the spring for the WBC World 140 pay. I mean, Ryan Garcia against Regis, if he wins, Ryan Garcia against Devin, that's a mega fight for the world title, So, and they're the fights that we should be making naturally. But I can't wait. I think it's a 50-50 fight on Saturday. But one thing's for sure, the winner on Saturday puts himself in a golden position in the sport of boxing.
No doubt. DAZN pay-per-view, Saturday night, San Francisco. Haney versus Prograis versus Haney, however you have it on the marquee. Final question. You mentioned everyone's fighting on an app these days. Shout out to DAZN. So is Al Heyman in the PBC. So I'm sure everybody's going to want your initial reaction. The news breaks. PBC going to Amazon. Showtime, as we know, stepping out after a great run. Is this in the modern day era, 2023, as you look ahead, is this the right move for Al and company, one of your chief rivals?
I just think, listen, when we made our move to a streaming partner 5 years ago, people laughed and what is going on? This is the future of broadcast. So I don't know the financial details of the Amazon deal, but it's a new broadcaster coming into the sport. It's a fresh look. And that's a great image and great news for the sport of boxing. It shows the existing broadcasters that there's interest from broadcasters. It shows people that the sport of boxing works, especially when we get it right. So welcome to Amazon. And, I think any promotional company needs a big deal, with deep numbers and deep pockets to be able to give the fighters security and, more importantly, give them activity. I don't know what their deal is, but from the outset, it's dressed up real nice. And good luck to everybody. And
Well
let's keep pushing this sport forward.
I love it. Do you get on with Al, by the way? Do you could you go out to drinks if you're cutting
Not
through
really.
the middle of the country?
He doesn't like me. No, he doesn't like me. I mean, when he wants something, I think it's a different kettle of fish. But, we've met a few times. We're very different. Al is a mastermind guy, very incredibly bright, and doesn't talk a lot. I'm probably not very bright, but talk a lot. So we're polar opposites, really.
I love it. Eddie, couldn't be more thankful for the time. Saturday DAZN pay-per-view, San Francisco, Haney versus Prograis. Thank you. Continued great luck and success. Yes, let's all pull together and put the sport first. Imagine that. Imagine that. Wow. Imagine that, Eddie. It's amazing.
Let's do it.
Go get it,
Brian.
sir. Thank you.